Dear brothers and sisters, Christ is risen. Today I'm using a new microphone, so hopefully the sound is better. Today I want to say about narrative. This time we live in the world where everything is about narrative, okay? In the past it was ideology, okay? You're either communist, capitalist, Marxist, whatever. But now all those days are gone, and the new term for something that came instead of that is a narrative, okay? And this is important because there are different narratives which we don't notice, but they lead us to think in a certain way, okay? To have a certain worldview, a certain direction, okay? And even about some trends or something not so global, be it music, be it sports, be it whatever. People listen to some speakers and they sort of also receive that narrative and that worldview that's brought by that speaker. If you have some speakers that you like and you listen often, you know what I'm talking about. His world, his life becomes part of your life, your world. You see world through his eyes, okay? If very often that's what's happening, okay? And we need to see the world through the eyes of Jesus Christ, and to be within the narrative of Jesus Christ. Because some people, they say, well, church is teaching dogma, teaching some fixed things, you need to do this, believe this. Well, it's not relevant anymore. Maybe for some people, I don't know, in Middle Ages that was important, but we are modern people. It's not in line with science, with the changing world. Now we have digital world, we're gonna have some post-modern and whatever. It's not more, it's outdated, okay? It's only some retrogrades. Some they may think about those traditional and those, they're Puritan, they want to have all kinds of things women don't wear, like I don't know, Mormons or something else. Not Mormons, sorry. These other sects, that there are many of those, okay, which have very traditional values. They separate themselves from society and they live in some well, actually they're more modern than you think, okay? But today the topic is not them. The topic is that Jesus Christ will not be outdated. His words are spoken to everyone, everywhere, okay, in any society. He's not going to be outdated. The society can get away from Christ, yes, but and already has gone away, far away. But this doesn't mean that we cannot find him, or we cannot hear. We're speaking different languages and things like this. No, to any person, any time, anywhere, any nation, any age, even he is speaking. He is bringing his message, and we should not be mistaking him for some official, official things coming from the church, okay? Because very often the church leaders, they themselves embrace some kind of narrative from news, from politics, and this is what we see now, and this is called worldliness, okay? When they are into some agenda, of course they would have their own corporate interests, okay, but still they would be in this game, okay, in this game which has different narratives going on, and some of these narratives they believe in. We need to learn how to become completely autonomous of any narrative, okay? Only the narrative of Jesus Christ. And how do we find it out? If even church leaders cannot find it, how do we find it? Okay. First of all, let's think a little bit about the narrative. What it is? What is it? Narrative is different from ideology because it's not so fixed. As ideology, it's fixed. Okay, we need to build communism. Finish. Okay, narrative is much more flexible, and it's adjusting to reality. Okay, it still has its own worldview, all values, and but it's adjusting to what's happening. Okay, it's very flexible. Of course, also narrative. This thing is not a new thing. Okay, in the past we see all the wars. They were fought because of some narrative. Okay, why British have to go war against Spanish, for example, at that time? Well, the regular army, the regular folk, they did not understand some geopolitical reasoning behind. So there had to be some narrative that's pushed why those Spaniards are bad. They're Catholic. They're torturing people. They are so cruel. They are so ugly. And okay, so some kind of picture was created. That's also narrative. In the old times, in the ancient times, okay, we have a narrator. We have Nero, okay, the emperor, who was first called Antichrist. He was the first emperor to be called Antichrist. And until now, we say that the spirit of Nero is still alive, still around, and it's actually a spirit of Antichrist, because he was okay, so cruel and so greedy for power and so pervert that, but also very very smart. So he accused the Christians. Remember, when he set everything to fire, the Rome, he said it's Christians. Okay, there was also a narrative that he had. Okay, because you see, all the problems because of them. They have some secret meetings there. They are different than you are and things. And it was very easy to believe. Okay, and it partly was true, right? That they had their own faith. And they did not worship those idols and other things. So it was partly true. And he is using that, creating a narrative, and everybody believes, and everybody is going and killing Christians. And the similar things with Bolsheviks. They had their narrative. Okay, here it is. Those classes, they exploit you, including those priests who are cheating you, who are fat, who are rich, and you are okay, so just let's go and kill all of them. Okay, so and it worked. Okay, so these narratives, when they are created by someone, not by Jesus Christ, they would lead everyone. They would manipulate people, and they would lead them to their destruction. And also, even psychologically speaking, the modern narratives, they are much more influential because of all the gadgets that we have, because all the technology that it's out there, and people are all in this virtual reality in their gadgets every day. Okay, they think that they are so autonomous, so free, but they're not. We are not. Okay, we need to limit how much we are influenced by things we hear or perceive through these media. Not to be like 24 hours in there, okay? We can judge from psychological, we call it border. Now almost everybody is on the border of losing control, okay? Either become easily irritated, or stress, or depression, or sociopathia. Okay, don't want to talk to anybody. Okay, people, all kinds of phenomena is going on. And if we have that, that's also because of those big narratives. They're trying to get you scared because of future, about this sickness that's out there, this fancy sickness, okay, and many other things, okay. So we need to really have a very strong immune system. We need a spiritual vaccination, okay, against all these things. So let us think more, okay. What else? Okay, what else? Now people, they really don't like to think. Okay, we would like to, okay, this is the information from the news. Okay, this is the worldview, and it's easy for me, okay, to live like that, because I don't take any responsibility. I have everybody else or half of the people will agree with my ideas, because that's the whole thing which we read. Everybody reads the same thing, and this can lead us to Orwellian reality, like Orwell, 1984, and other books. So we don't want to get there. Okay, we don't want to get there, especially as Christians, because for us that means that we don't go to salvation. For us, there is only one pastor, and we need to hear his voice and follow what he says, and not to go like zombie to something else, to some other reality, thinking that we are not zombie, thinking that okay, people who are proud, they never think that they're proud, or that they're vainglorious or whatever. In the same way, we think that we are free and we have our own mind, but very often they are using that to manipulate. Even in the news, we can see that in the past, when we read some newspaper, it's all about some news that's happening, I don't know, 50 years ago. Some real news that's happening. But now, when we read news, it's like massage. I don't know, it's like, some opinions, some little development, and something here, something there. It's like with the children, okay, that it's not giving you something solid. It's giving you is shaping. They call themselves shapers. Okay, they shape this world in the way they want. Okay, and through influence, they call these people influencers. Okay, there are some speakers out there in YouTube. You think that he is just free? No, this is all bought by someone, and he's talking, and he's got his basic, and he is using facts, but those facts are chosen in such a way that to manipulate your opinion. So let us be mindful of that and see that through right away. When we see that, we can see, oh, this is a fact and this is manipulation. So the problem is, what is the narrative of the Lord? We know that if someone cannot understand his own narrative, he will lose. Okay, he will be overcome by another narrative. Okay, when there is a country which doesn't, for example, in the past Soviet Union, people don't believe anymore in socialism. It's overtaken. It's over. Okay, so if we don't want the church to lose its influence in the world, the Church of Christ, I'm not talking about some institutes, the Church of Christ, the message of Jesus, so that it's powerful and it's really influencing human minds and any generation. We need to know what's the narrative. And there is a narrative about our own life. Every one of us has our own narrative, my life, which we need to build according to Lord's will. And there is a bigger narrative. For us, a bigger narrative is not about countries or even big world issues. Okay, for us, the bigger narrative is the narrative of the Church of Christ, because He is saving this world through the Church. He is present in this world, in the Church, and in the Church we gain salvation, we gain true life. So for us, this is more important, and this is why the issues or some ideologies that are threatening the Church, some heresies, some modern heresies, ecumenism, or some schisms, or nationalistic influence, or whatever, worldliness, these threats that are threatening the Church, this is the biggest issue for us. And everything else only in this context. What happens with Russia, with whatever, with war, with sickness, etc. This all for us is just part of the picture, which is not as important as the existence and development of the Church and its mission. So, where do we draw this narrative from? How do we understand? Of course, it's a really big question. We won't be able to talk about everything today, but just to indicate that the gospel is the source for us of all the basic worldview, values, morals, ways of treating others, about how our own attitude towards life should be. Blessed are the pure in spirit. If there is some agenda we see in the politics or in the either, what is it coming from? Is it coming from proudness, from selfishness, from whatever? If we have some spiritual understanding of the gospel, we can look at it through the prism of the gospel. And of course, to be able to do that, everybody reads the gospel, but has a different opinion. If we read gospel every day, we live in the gospel, we also need to put a lot of effort into prayer, into spiritual life, into fasting, and only then we can really have a clarity of mind and be able to really have the right judgment about some spiritual things. And with the Eucharist, living in Eucharist with the Church in union, this will help us with our own narratives, our personal narratives, as well as to see the overall narrative that is going on. Okay, so let us think about this, about the whole Church mission and life and direction. The important source for us is the Acts of the Apostles. We see this is a help to us. We have the gospel itself, but to help us understand on a bigger scale of the whole Church, where it's going to, what its mission, what the apostles, what were their tasks, what was it all about, and until now we can see there, okay, what were their goals, where they went, and through, of course, epistles of the apostles, we can learn even more, even some slight different traditions, okay, in spiritual life, in world views, in the ways of doing mission between, say, Peter, Saint Paul, Saint Jacob, Saint John the theologian, evangelist. We can draw a lot of spiritual wisdom and the narrative of Christ, through which He is leading the Church and the whole world to the end of His days, to the end of His times, will be opening to us more and more, and we won't be influenced so much by all those other narratives that they're out there, and they're creating this spiritual noise trying to put us into some kind of, okay, you're pro-Trump, or you're pro-whatever, you're a pacifist, or you're ecologist, or you're whatever. He's trying to drag you in some kind of direction. For us, no. We need to be free. We need to be in constant communication with Jesus Christ Himself. May the Lord give us such wisdom, such union, give us clear direction, vision of His will, and of the ways through which He is guiding us and leading the whole church and the whole world to the goals that He has set. May the Lord give us His blessing and joy. Christ is risen. Indeed, He is risen.